No, this is not clickbait.
This is not it. It's not sustainable at all.
Hello beautiful people, welcome to my channel. My name is Mutombo and I am a Cameroonian YouTuber and digital illustrator. You know what? Given what this video is about, given the title of this video, I actually need to stop introducing myself using my profession. Yes, I need to stop it. Anyway, let's just get right into it, okay? This is actually I have my script. I have all my talking points here, but it is literally so difficult to actually get into it and say these words out loud because this has been my identity for so long. I'm an engineer by training. I have my bachelor's of engineering in electrical engineering. I have my master's of engineering in telecommunications engineering. Before going for my master's, I worked for 4 years in the telecommunications field. And while I was writing my master's dissertation or thesis, I started working as an analyst for the Network Operations Center of an engineering firm here in Cameroon. So for all intents and purposes, I am a well-rounded engineer. When I got this last job, the analyst job, I shared it here on this channel. I shared a few work days in my life, a few vlogs, and here I am sitting here to tell you that I quit my job. I like the people that I worked with. I had a wonderful supervisor, a great boss, great colleagues, and it was a peaceful space to work in. The decision to quit has really not been an easy decision at all. And along this journey that brought me to this decision, I documented so many moments, which I'm going to share in this video. But before we get into it, the logical question right now is why? What are the things that brought you to this decision? The first thing that I want to mention here is that the nature of the job that I was doing really went against my strengths. I'm an introvert. Okay? I promise this is not an excuse for everything that I do in my life. I'm an introvert, and the nature of the job required that I be on the phone a lot. Like, I'll be on the phone for 20-30 minutes at a time, 5 to 6 times a day. And it was just a lot of talking, a lot of having to go back and forth. And these are things that really drain my energy. They're not physically demanding, but for some reason, after these types of activities, I feel depleted. So before the day is even over, I would find myself extremely exhausted. And I know that having to talk all day, all the time is really exhausting for me because there were rare days when I would just have to sit at my desk and do my analysis for hours and hours. And for me, those were perfect days. I loved it so much. I love the days when I just, had my data with me, my spreadsheets, do my calculations, send my reports, occasionally interact, and at the end of the day, I would feel like I just woke up from sleep. But unfortunately, having to be on the phone is the nature of the work. My next point, I think, is something that affects everybody who works in Douala. I honestly recognize that it's a problem. The cost of the commute, both in terms of time and money, really did not make sense to me, honestly. On average, it would take 45 minutes to 1 hour to get to work, 45 minutes to 1 hour to come back from work, sometimes more. Which is something that if you are working a full-time job and have a side hustle, every second of your time is just so precious to you, and how you spend it basically can either make or break your day. I was spending so much money on transportation. Basically, more than 15% of my salary was going to getting me to and from work. And at some point, it just stopped making sense to me. So for my third point, for those of you who are new here, I was working my job, finishing my master's dissertation, doing digital illustrations, and I was running this YouTube channel. So whenever I wasn't at work, I was working on one of these other things. You get the picture. Let me get into my third point now. The third thing is I had to look at the opportunity cost. So spending 2 hours in traffic trying to get to work, spending 9 hours in the office because it's 8 hours working time and 1 hour break time, that's already 11 hours of the day. Basically, that's half of the day. So if you have to spend, say, 5 or 6 hours sleeping, that's already 16 to 17 hours of the day, gone. So that leaves about 7 hours of the day for you to eat, shower, clean, cook, and work on how many ever side hustles you have. Fortunately or unfortunately for me, I chose passions or side hustles that are very time consuming. YouTube. I put in the time to produce well thought out videos, well edited videos, and honestly, it takes time. Trust me, I'm not happy missing uploads. Out of respect for myself and for you who would take time out of your day, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes to watch a video that I've put out. I cannot just carry any kind of thing and dump on the channel and say, okay, that's a video, that's an upload. Illustrations. 35 hours to produce one illustration for a client. So basically, I had to turn down so many illustrations, especially during peak wedding season. People were reaching out to me like, oh, can you do this illustration for me? I couldn't find the time to do it. So my whole point is the opportunity cost of having to spend those 11 hours in a day going to work, working, and coming back was my own projects that weren't growing, my own projects that I had to turn down. At the end of the day, I really had to sit down with myself and look at the long game, right? And ask myself, okay, so 2 years from now, what would things be like if you pursue your own projects, if you put everything into your own projects? And against that, the other question was, 2 years from now, what would it look like if you put everything into your 8 to 5 job? You know, just focus on that, leave all these other things that you're doing, shut down the YouTube channel, shut down the illustrations. Or the third question, which was becoming progressively difficult to consider, was what would it look like 2 years from now if you continue doing both, right? If you continue half-assing both. I can answer that question for you right now. Nothing would have changed. Okay, I will be at the same desk, on the same spot, with a channel that is not growing, but that I'm putting all my extra spare time into. So I had to weigh between doing my personal projects full-time and just doing my 8 to 5 full-time. There was no way that I was going to continue doing both at the same time. I had to ask myself, which would I regret not going for? And the reality is that since I started this channel, I haven't really given this channel a chance to thrive, and I would regret it if I did not. I've put in the work, but I've not put in a strategy, and that means staying consistent. It's work that needs to consistently be put in, especially now that I still have the energy to do this type of thing. I have the motivation. So if not now, when? If not, if I don't give this channel a chance now, when would I, be able to do this? I feel like I've veered off my point of opportunity cost, but these are just the things that have been running through my mind. And with jobs, these are things that are kind of out of your control, especially if you're in a position where for you to move up, somebody either needs to leave their position or then be promoted from above. Basically, somebody else has to create space for me to be able to move up. And even if that vacancy is created, there's no guarantee that I will be the one to move up, So these are just a few things that I had to weigh and really just ask myself, what would you look back on and be happy that you tried 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now? The fourth thing that I'm going to mention here is purpose and fulfillment. I feel like life comes in stages, and I'm at that stage in life where I'm really craving fulfillment in what I do daily. I've been taking note of how things make me feel on, the impact of my actions. When I talk about impact, it mustn't be, Mahatma Gandhi changed the world, no. Like even just small things. How do the things that I do impact the people around me? How does it help them? I feel like this topic of finding your purpose and getting a sense of fulfillment from what you do is very tricky to navigate. What I know is I don't necessarily want to find myself in a position where I'm doing the same tasks every day, and then at the end of the day, I can't really see the impact of what I've done, I don't know how to explain this particular point without coming off as if I'm minimizing what I was doing. No, that's not the point. I'm not saying that what I was doing had no impact. Of course, it is literally being a cog in a big machine. Without that cog, that machine might not work. But that small cog doesn't really see the work that this big machine is doing on the outside. That small cog inside there in the bowels of the machine doesn't see how it's being there is helping the machine to work, but it's helping the machine work. So being that cog is a very important position. I need to see what I've done at the end of the day. For example, a cook, at the end of the day, you can see the food that you've cooked. You can see the people that you've eaten, the people that you fed. Okay, today I fed 2 people and I cooked 3 dishes. I think the best example, of a fulfilling role and a role that can really allow somebody to live out their purpose is teaching. Teachers, at the end of your career, you can say, okay, I taught 300, 400, 500, thousands of students. I helped this child who was, had this specific problem. And even for me personally, I think the big thing is I've tasted what it feels like to feel fulfilled after having done something. Even when you guys just let me know in the comments that, oh, this video helped me, this video inspired me, thank you for showing me this, thank you for showing me that. I feel like, okay, I've put something out there into the world, With my illustrations, at the end of the day, I actually have files that I send to them and then they display at their weddings, they display at their occasions. I feel like, okay, I've done something, I contributed something to this occasion and they were happy with it. Having tasted that, it's so difficult to go back and sit in a position where you might be working hard, but you don't really see it go beyond the email that you send, the reports that you send at the end of the day. And don't get me wrong, there are people who can thrive in this role, right? Especially people who know that I've come to work, I just have to do what is expected of me, I submit my work, and I'm done. That's the end of the day. If you approach work with that type of mindset, then honestly, this type of role is perfect for you, because work doesn't necessarily have to be everybody's whole life. There are people who find their sense of fulfillment and purpose in other areas of their life. It doesn't have to be their day-to-day work. But for me personally, I actually want to put more time into those things. Yeah, I think I've rounded up this point really nicely. What do you think? My last point, and the heaviest point, the main thing that made me say, you know what? Pick a lane, walk that lane, and forget about everything else, was the fact that I was breaking down either mentally or physically almost every week. So I would work in the day, come back, eat, try to unwind. By 8 p.m, I'm either editing or I'm doing an illustration. So sometimes I'm sitting at this desk till like 1 a.m, 2 a.m. I go to sleep and I'm falling asleep maybe by 2:33 to wake up at 6. Most days I was waking up at 7 to be at work by 8:30. Sometimes I'll get to work late. I'll show up to work tired, work, phone, exhausted, leave work 5:30, getting home 6:30 to continue that cycle again. See, my eyes were constantly swollen. I had a constant headache. I was constantly tired. If I was a candle, I was literally burning myself at both ends. So I would have these mental breakdowns. Like, I remember my biggest mental breakdown was on this floor here in this house.
I'm laughing because I'm crying, not because I'm sad. I'm not depressed. I'm really fine, but I'm just super exhausted. I just finished exporting the video that was supposed to go up today, so I'm trying to upload it. It says 1 hour 22 minutes left. This is the time, 2:16 a.m. We've been having internet problems for a while, but also this vlog is actually quite heavy, and yeah, it took ages to edit, ages upon ages. And okay, so I really just have a question right now. All these people who say, oh, you work on your 9 to 5 or your 8 to 5 in our case. You work on your 8 to 5 from, 8 to 5. You commute 1 hour, possibly 1 hour, 30 minutes each way. You get home, you eat 30 minutes, and then you work on your side hustle from, 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I don't know, maybe I'm just weak, but either y'all are lying, or you're not performing well at your 9 to 5, or not performing well at your side hustle, or maybe you're just superhuman, because this thing that I'm attempting is physically wearing me down. Like, at this point, I just feel like I don't even have time to physically take care of the body that I'm using to work. Sometimes I look at these schedules that we get from, all these aspirational people who, made their dreams happen and escaped the rat race, left the shackles of the 9 to 5. I look at all of these people and I'm like, well, your 24 hours of the day aren't adding up. There's certain things that need to be done for a human being to function that I don't see where they fit into, the schedule that you're giving us or that you say you followed. Or is that schedule only for, I don't know, people in the Occidental world? Funny enough, now that I've just let out how heavy I was feeling, I feel pretty light, and I'm going to go shower, sleep, and wake up in 4 hours to go to work. I don't know how sustainable this lifestyle is. Like, one of these things is going to have to go.
I was not sad at all. It was out of exhaustion. Tired and frustrated because I was putting such a dent in my energy, but because I could do so little at a time, even though physically I was doing so much, it felt like the needle wasn't moving, especially on this channel. But in reality, I was just so tired because I was spread too thin. Mutombo was not in progress, I tell you. The day when I sat on this floor and I broke down is the day that I realized I have to quit my job. At this point, I really had to assess the situation and ask myself a bunch of questions. First question, what's stopping me? Of course, I know the answer. Fear. And the second thing stopping me is money. At the end of the day, we don't eat passion. My channel doesn't make a lot of money. You need food, you need shelter, you need lights. The first thing that I needed to tackle was my fear. Since the age of 14, I've known that I wanted to study engineering. From 14 to now, that's like half of my life. In fact, that's more than half of my life because I'm 29. So I literally just have to trust in God's plan for me. And that's exactly how I dealt with the fear. So the first thing that I did was to really just commit it into God's hands. I prayed about it so much, like, oh God, you've given me this conviction, right, that this is what I need to do now for this season in my life. But I don't know how. I don't know how I'm going to survive. I don't know how I'm going to live. I just put it in God's hands and just begged God to take control of the situation and to take away the fear that was feeling in my heart, and to replace that fear with boldness and audacity. Yes. And that's something that I've continually had to do, because sometimes I wake up and I'm like, what have I done? Once I dealt with my fear and put everything in God's hands, the next thing I had to do was actually quit. And I wanted to leave that job on very good terms. I gave my 1 month notice to my supervisor first. So they started looking for my replacement. 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave, my replacement came in and I participated in their training. I compiled all my tasks into a Google document and I sent that to my colleagues so that they had everything that I was working on. And then I put myself on a budget. Guys, I had to save up so much money because around that same time I had other financial commitments that I was putting money in. Oh goodness, guys. I'm actually proud of the budget that I put myself on. I literally spent money on nothing except my transportation to work, my food, my rent, and my bills. So aside from the other financial commitments that I had at that time, I was able to save up 4 months living expenses. I honestly could have persevered and saved up a bit more, but I put the rest of it in God's hands and started my journey to self-employment. So guys, this was my last day at work.
Hello beautiful people. Today is going to be my last day at my job. So if you are new to the channel, I am an electrical engineer and today is going to be my last day at my job at a telemetry company. So if you want to know more about my day job, I'm going to leave videos that take you through my day to day at the office in the description box. I'm off to work. Guys, my goodness, the day has been so busy, but currently I just left the office because I want to go buy some chicken to share with my colleagues. It's my last day. I just wanted to prepare a nice meal. Well, not prepare because I'm not going to cook, but I just wanted to offer a nice meal for people to eat. How many chickens can feed 12 people? That's the question at hand right now.
I've gotten a chicken. It's big pack. Cleared my desktop. So my office offers us a gym membership, and since today is officially my last day, today is the last day that I'm going to have that gym membership. So I'm going to the gym. I think I'm going to have to come back here on Monday. I worked till I think about 6 p.m. and I didn't get a chance to turn in my laptop and my phone and all the office equipment that I have. So I'll come on Monday to do that. Today's Friday. Okay, that was a good way to close the day. That last day of work that you just watched was 4.5 months ago. So yeah, I've been out here kicking it, navigating this jungle for 4.5 months. So yeah, pray for your girl. So what is next? So far, I figured out the direction in which I want to take this channel. I've optimized my workflow, and obviously you've been seeing the videos. I've been able to produce at least 1 video a week, if not 2. I think for the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've been doing 2 videos a week. I've worked on a bunch of illustrations. I traveled for a month with MMTC Kenya, and when I got back, I produced the Mutombo in Kenya series, which if you haven't seen, please check it out. It's a really good series, especially if you want to visit Kenya. Just throwing that out there. In this time, the channel has grown 1,700 subscribers. That's literally 1,700 people who have decided to put their eyeballs on this channel. Oh my gosh. It's easy to sit and look at your channel, right? Especially if you're a smaller channel. It's easy to sit and look at the numbers and be like, ugh, this is going nowhere. As a matter of fact, I've said it so many times here in this video that I feel like my channel is not growing, the way it could grow. But when you think of 1,700 people, I try to think of them as 1,700 people sitting in a room and listening to what I have to say. I think at this point, the channel is at 8,800. So I'm grateful for every one of you. This is me saying I am taking this journey seriously. I'm taking this channel seriously. I'm taking the fact that you have decided to be a part of this channel, watch the content that I put out. I'm taking that as a vote of confidence, and I'm deciding to follow suit and bet on myself. It's not a decision that I made lightly. Before I sat down to film this video, I was a bit reluctant. I mean, I've been self-employed for 4.5 months now. I could have made this video before now. I've really not been able to quantify what I've done in this time, right? But because I had to sit down and make this video and kind of bring you up to speed, I've had now to list all those things, everything that I mentioned that we've been able to do in this period. It gives me some sort of affirmation that Mutombo is indeed in progress. Everything that I've said here begs the question, what about engineering? Valid question, very valid. Engineering, after all, has been more than half of my life. I'm honestly still interested in having a job or a career in engineering, but there are certain things for me now that are non-negotiables in a job, and I think I've hinted at a few of those in this video. Obviously, there's no such thing as a perfect job. Even doing YouTube is not a perfect job, honestly. Let me know in the comments if you want me to get into those non-negotiables for a job for me. But for this particular video, I think this video is long enough as it is. I just want my work to be what is right for me at that time. I think right now, bringing content to your screens, bringing people's visions to life through my illustrations is what is right for me right now. So I don't want to sit here and spin fairy tales and be telling you, okay, I've been self-employed for 4 months now, and trust me, I've learned a lot in this time. There are a few things that I wish I had done differently while starting this journey. So if you are interested in knowing what the lessons that I've learned and the things that I would have done differently if I had to take this step all over again, please let me know in the comments. It has not been an easy ride at all, but like I said, I love it. That brings us to the end of my video. Thank you so much for sitting with me, for listening, and now it's been heavy on my chest for a while. So I am glad now that I've sat down and I've made this video. Yeah, I'm a full-time YouTuber. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you are new, and drop a comment. Let's discuss this thing in the comments below, and please let me know any questions that you might want me to answer. I'll see you in the next video.